Welcome to LSBF TV with me, David Laws. It's Friday afternoon, time for some AAT. Okay then, right, what we are going to be looking at is we are going to be having a look at task number 5. So task number 5, first of all, let's just have a quick look through and see what it is that we are supposed to be doing. So task number 5, it talks about the fact that we have got some budget figures and some actual figures. We need to prepare a report which explains why the variances are in excess of 12% of the budget could have occurred. So what we will need to do, first of all, is we will need to work out what the variances actually are, what percentage they are, and I can pretty much guarantee you that at least one of them will be less than 12%, so we just say we don't need to worry about this. So why the variances in excess of 12% could have occurred. So the first thing I need to do is work out what the variance is, what percentage is it. And then I need to say why it might have happened. And then possible actions to rectify, to fix those variances. In other words, to make sure they don't happen again. So what we're going to do to make sure they don't happen in the future. So that's basically the task that we've got. So we need to work out the change, and we'll need to work out why it might be happening, what we're going to do about it. Okay then. Now, the first thing I should point out before we do this, when it says possible actions, sorry, I do apologise. When it says why they could have occurred, one of the things that AAT says, and it's something it says quite clearly in various documents. So AAT states you should stick to the facts given in the task. So, for example, it might be that you're looking at, you might be looking at cash sales from, let's say cash sales from driving. Cash sales, and this is cash sales from driving tests. Cash sales from driving tests are less than budgeted, right? Because there is a recession and people can't afford to learn to drive. Because the weather is really bad and it's unsafe to drive, people can't take driving tests. Those might be true, but it doesn't say anything about those in the question. It doesn't say anything about those in the task. So you can only talk about things which are mentioned in the task. So it's very easy, I've done it, it's very easy to come up with, I've got a better idea. I've got a better idea. Stick to what we're told. Now we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to worry about the last bit because that's just a piece of telling you which things to look at. But we've got 5 pieces of information that might affect these variances, and we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different variances. So presumably some of them won't be affected by any of these bits of information, I assume. Some of them might be affected by more than one. See how we get on. Okay then. So first of all, cash sales. Now, there are various different ways that you can calculate percentage changes. If I do it in a different way to the way that you are used to, if I do it in a different way to the way that you're happy with, ignore my method. You do what works for you. I'm going to do it, well, I suppose what I'll do is I'll do it in 2 different ways. And then and then you can see which one you prefer. Right, cash sales then. So we have got actual compared to budget. So one way to do this, I'm simply going to do actual divided by budget. I'm just making sure 3825. I was about to say make sure I got the right numbers and I've written the wrong number there. So there you go. So 3825 over the budget of 4,500. I'm not bothering to put the zeros in because obviously it's thousands on the top, it's thousands on the bottom. It doesn't really make any difference. If you want to put thousands in to make sure it's absolutely correct, then please do. Just uses a bit more time, but if you're happier with it, then fine. Now that comes to 0.85. Now, what does that mean? It means actual is less than budget. By what percentage? It's how much less. If I do that as a, hopefully everybody's okay with this. If I do that as a percentage, it's simply 85%. Any figure which is less than 100% means it's smaller than the original. So in other words, the number on the top is smaller than the number on the bottom. So in other words, we have got less actual sales. By what percentage? Well, if they were equal, 4,500 on the top, 4,500 on the bottom, that figure, 4,500 over 4,500, would be 100%. It's less than 1. So to work out how much lower is you simply do 100% minus 85%. Or if you want to, 1 minus 0.85. Those two are exactly equivalent to each other. So if you get a figure that's less than 1, the percentage it's fallen by is 1 minus whatever the figure is you've calculated. So in other words, this is 15% below budget. Yep, so that's the way that I would do it. There are, as I say, there are other methods of doing it. If you want to do it a different way, you do it a different way, whatever works for you. But the idea is it's 15% below budget. So that means it needs investigating. Now, what are we told that might have anything to do? What are we told that might have anything to do with, in fact, I won't give that a number. Let me give that a letter. I've already got some numbers on there. Have we got anything that might affect the cash sales from the driving? Well, number 2 talks about vehicle testing. Nothing to do with driving. There's been a reduction in the bank base rate. Nothing to do with driving. A new system for vehicle testing. Nothing to do with driving. And there's a lot of stuff to do with vehicle testing, isn't there? The only one that's got anything to do at all with cash sales from driving tests is the top one. And it says it's been reduced. The driving test theory, the driving test fee, by the way, has been reduced. This is not taken into account in the budgeted figures. If they had already included that in the budget, that would be irrelevant because you'd think, well, they've already thought about that. They haven't thought about it, so that's going to account for part of it. So we have got the fee reduction. Actual fee is 30, budgeted fee is 33. That comes to 30 out of 33 is, I think that's about 90.9% if I remember correctly. I think it's that. So in other words, this is about a 9% reduction. So remember, to get the percentage reduction, to get the percentage fall, 100% minus the number I've calculated. So that's about 9% reduction. So sales equals volume times price. The sales value has gone down by 15%, Out of that, 9% of it is accounted for by the fact we're charging a lower price. The rest of it must be to do with the fact that we've done fewer driving tests. Why has that happened? I don't know. So we need to investigate. We need to investigate why there are fewer tests taken. Now, what can we do in the future? Well, one thing we ought to do in the future, one thing that we should do, is we should make sure, because it talks about the variances. Well, one thing we should make sure we do from now on is change the budget. We need to update the budget to reflect the reduced fee, because otherwise all that will happen is next month we'll get the same thing. So why is that happening? Oh, it's because we've reduced the price that people have to pay. And then the next month, so just reduce it, just update your budget, because otherwise you'll keep coming back with the same variance. So update your budget. But we need to investigate why fewer tests are being taken, because the volume is down as well. We've only looked at the price. So we've got that one. We've got vehicle testing. And again, vehicle testing, it says cash receipts from vehicle testing sales, actual 3,850, budgeted 5,125. Actual is less than budget. So there's obviously a reduction on budget. It's less than the budget. If you do 3,850 over 5,125, you get 75.1%. So in other words, this is a fall of 25%. So it's quite a significant fall. Are we told anything here? Well, we are told, I've used number one, we are told there's been a new system and the system has been unavailable. So in other words, sales equals volume times price. We're told the volume has gone down. Now, we don't know how much. We simply know that we couldn't do any vehicle testing because the new computer system wasn't working. So the volume of tests is lower since the system was not available all month. Now, it would be helpful if I was told enough information to see, does that explain all the 25%? If it does, fine. If it doesn't, there might be another issue as well. The good thing about this should not happen again. This should hopefully be a one-off. So do we need to take any action if that's the only reason why the revenue from vehicle testing was lower? Because we couldn't do as many vehicle tests. If that's the only reason, we don't need to do anything, because next month everything should be fine. So that one's all right. We have got what we're down to now. Right, so I've used that one. I've used number two. There's been a reduction. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at investment income. So investment income instead of 68,000 was 48,500. So investment income, we have got 48,500 over 68,000 was the budget. That gives me 71.3%. In other words, a fall of 100% minus 71.3%. So in other words, a fall of 28.7%. That needs investigating because it's bigger than 12%. Remember, 12% is their cut-off. If it's below 12, they don't investigate it. If it's over 12, they do. So we've got a fall of 28.7%. Now, why might that have happened? We are told the base rate has gone down. If the base rate goes down, it means that the amount of money that we earn from our savings will go down. So, interest received will fall. Bank base rate goes down, interest rates go down, the amount you receive as a saver goes down. So the interest received will fall. You can do sort of a rough calculation. It's gone from 1.75 down to 1.25. And that is, that's what, that's 25, that's 5 divided by 25, 7. That's about 5 over 7. I forgot to calculate this. So that's about 5/7. It's about 70%ish, something like that. So in other words, the interest rate has fallen. I think, to be honest, it's probably closer to about 28%. I've got a feeling 5 out of 7 is about a 28% fall. So in other words, pretty much all of that can be explained by the fact the interest rate has gone down. Now, what can we do about that in the future? Nothing. So we cannot do anything about this. Except update the budget. That's the only thing we can do. Yeah, so we can't do anything else. We can't affect the bank base rate. All we can do is, when we're doing the budget for next month, change the interest rate, so we change the amount of investment income we are expecting to get, because we can't do anything else about it. There's no action we can take. So it looks as though the interest rate fall has accounted for all of that change in investment income. So we've done 3 of them. We've done 3 of the receipts, and we've looked at 3 of the reasons. Now, some of them might come back again, because remember, we still got all the payments to go yet. So, as far as payments are concerned, the first thing we've got is wages. Now, wages, we have got 1413. Again, I'm not going to do all the thousands. I'm not going to do all the zeros. 1413 over 1150. If you work this out, you get 1.229. Now this time we've got to figure over 1. What does that mean? It means that something is higher than expected. Obviously, if the figure is less than 1, which is all the ones we've had so far, it's lower than you'd expected. So to work out the change from the budget, what we've done so far is we said, what did we calculate? 75%. Take it away from 1, it's a fall of 25%. Here, you simply say, well, take away 100%. So this is 22.9% above the budget. One of the ways to think about this is simply, how far away from 100% is it? If it's above 100%, how much extra is it? If it's below 100%, how much lower is it? And that will always tell you what the percentage change is. So wages 22.9% above the budget. Why? We are told to implement the new system. They employed a large number of temporary workers. So there will be more workers who are being paid more money. So due to the increase in temporary workers. Now notice it says temporary. So this should this should resolve itself. This looks like it's a short-term, one-time thing. So there's our normal wages. We've paid extra this month because we've got lots of temporary staff. Next month it should go back down to that again. So hopefully we don't need to take any action with this. So we don't really need to investigate that. But if it occurs again next month, when we don't have the temporary workers anymore, well then we've got a problem. But hopefully it won't do because these are temporary. IT costs. So we've done that one. So we've had a look at number 4. IT costs. IT costs again are quite substantially above budget. So IT costs. We have got 6,100,000. Again, I'm not doing the thousands. The budget was 4,800,000. That is 1.27. That's 127%. It's above 100, so therefore the cost is higher than expected, 27% higher. Why did that happen? Number 5, the new system for vehicle testing sales is heavily reliant on IT, and the project has taken longer than planned, resulting in additional charges. So in other words, we've got the fact the project took longer. So the project took longer, therefore the costs were higher. So and because it's an IT based project, the IT costs were higher. Now again, the project is finished, so this should not reoccur as project is now complete. So we've used up all 5 of them. We've still got 2 left. In fact, I mind you still got 3 left, haven't we? F, G, H. So capital expenditure. So capital expenditure, we have got 165 over 160. That is less than 12% difference. So we don't need to do anything with that. Bank charges. Now bank charges are a cost, remember, and we've got actual is 17,000 over 21,000. That's 0.8, 80%, so 20% below budget, probably due to a fall in interest rates. If interest rates go down, savers get less money, but borrowers pay less money. Now, I hope you're okay with the fact that investment income's fallen because our savings have gone down, but our costs have fallen, our borrowing costs have fallen because the rate has gone down. So it's affected us in a bad way, but it's also affected us in a good way. So I suspected that we would use one of these twice. I also suspected that there would be at least one of them, capital expenditure, we don't have to do anything with. Final one, we've got utility costs. And utility costs, we have got 54,000 over 51,000, which is 1.05, 5%, but again, that's within the 12%. So we don't need to investigate. Now, one of the things I think it's a good idea to do if you can, and I do appreciate in the exam you may not remember, but if you've got something like this, now as I say, there are 8 different rows we've got, and there's 5 different pieces of information. You only investigate variances of over 12%. The chances are, since there's 8 rows and only 5 pieces of information, the chances are at least one row doesn't need any action. We had 2 rows that didn't. The other thing is, you'll almost certainly get one of the pieces of information that's used more than once, because it's an exam task. Yeah, so just use it. Don't just, again, I know this is task 5, so it's in the middle of the test. But try and just think, what am I likely to find? I'm likely to find something where you don't need to do any investigation. And you might well also find something where there's the same piece of information being used to explain 2 different things. Yeah, so just a bit of thought will go a long way. Okay then, I trust that you have found that. Useful. I do apologise about my handwriting. Not very good. And thank you ever so much for joining us here today on LSBF TV. Good luck with all of your studying, and hopefully I will be seeing you again in a few weeks for another task that we'll be going through on LSBF TV. Enjoy the rest of Friday, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.